Hey, you guys, are Cracking Godsman here, coming at you with another standard tournament results video. This past October, we had ourselves a standard tournament for the post-set 11 meta, and we have our results here, well, the whole top 8 and a breakdown of each of the decks that were in those top 8. With me today, I've actually got a co-host here, which is Shira, who actually took part and was a finalist at the tournament. How are we doing, Shira?
Oh, we're doing good. Very good now, actually. Just a bit warm, actually. But
wow. Wow, for October, basically November, that is a statement. Meanwhile, we're popsicles into X's. Anyway, so this is our top 8 right here, and as you can see, it's Ketermania on this side of the aisle. We've got 3 Uthbergs who made the top cut, along with 2 Minervas and also a Reziel. The only thing that's trying to defy the Keter Pie here seems to be the 2 Prison players that also topped, including the one that is co-hosting this. Ain't that right, Mr. Prison for game?
Oh, Prison. Oh, we love it.
Yeah,
it was so well.
It's such a good strategy, and I can't wait to like get into your deck profile because you play it very differently from the average bear, and a part of me thinks it might be like a really good like anti-meta call coming into this, right? But we'll dive into it as we dive into it. So this is our graphic for the top 8 here, and as you go into the top 4, it elaborates further on who is able to convert into the big 4. So over here on the top, Uthberg ends up winning the event, followed by Prison narrowly behind it, and then interestingly enough, Reziel, kind of the dark horse of this pie chart right here, actually makes third. So really well done to Luke's son for being able to make the top 3 with Reziel of all things. That's very impressive. And meanwhile, another member of the youth gang also coming in just right shy of the bronze, but still really commendable to make it to the top 4 here. So well done to Alex. And of course, I mean, Shira and I are right here, so I guess we pat ourselves on the back as well. This was a really strong event all around. Admittedly, it seems like it was somewhat I'm not gonna say tainted, but more like it was characterized by a lot of high roll, and the triggers really did a lot of the talking, especially where the Keter decks were concerned. And not even just Uthberg, Uthberg was the biggest example. Reziel had a lot of RNG checks within like its top cut, and the pilot Luke's son here was a really monstrously good pilot of Reziel. He knew his game plan, he knew how to pilot the deck and navigate the matchups, and he was able to take the right bets to like really steal momentum from the more high octane strategies here. And similar to the 2 Minervas, Minerva in my opinion was probably the best deck of the ones who made top cut, and it's one of the best decks of the format, so I'm not surprised that it made a couples up here. But Minerva, we're going to talk about the Minerva story when we get to those lists, but it's kind of tragic the way that it missed out on the top 4. Anyway, so let's go ahead and go through, starting with some members of the top 8 here. So we got a Prison player here. This was Zebik. Now Zebik of course is running the typical Prison ride line with the nuclear light and everything, and as you go into the main deck here, we get some really nifty choices. Now as the higher up Prison player of the 2 who topped, this is the list that he brought in. You've got like a lot of the usual suspects, of course, but then he also had
some funny, interesting tech options that are in here, which are very interesting. I must say.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, these crits with the corner citrus are like the top half of this, so just kind of assume that we're kind of going down with it. Now one thing I want to explain here before I think you divulge into it a little bit, over here at the top left corner, some people may not be aware of it, but this is a custom OT. So for this tournament, we ended up doing something a little bit different and shaking things up. So everyone knows the overtrigger, everyone hates the overtrigger, right? So what we decided to do was create a custom overtrigger that everyone in the tournament could run in lieu of the regular overtrigger. It was mandatory to do that. You could choose to not run an overtrigger, but if you did want OT, it'd have to be this one. So this is Spiritual King of Storm Cyclone. It's based off of the G unit from back in the premium collections. Now this card has the effect that when you check it, you remove from play and draw a card, and you give only 10,000 power to units. So not the 100 million that was the game breaker, right? Just 10,000. Then if you checked it as a drive check, you perform one of the following. You either grant a unit a critical dead a turn, you drew a card, you stood a rear guard, or if you have equal to or greater damage than the opponent, you heal one. So think of it as like a bless favor, but toned down because you only choose one of the effects. And instead of a front trigger-esque like effect, we instead decided for a stand. It gave it a little bit of a unique variable, and front triggers also meant that you could like 20k, which means that this automatically breaks a 2 to pass, and that was kind of a no-no for the design of it. So that is Cyclone there. Everyone ran it. Overall, definitely a really nice change of pace in this tournament because of it, because whenever this thing got checked, it was really good quality of life to have what's effectively a wild card trigger. Because if you've ever played like Uno, where they have the wild cards that are all 4 colors and you get to choose which colors, kind of like that, you get to choose any of the other triggers, right? Including a stand trigger, I guess. So it was kind of cool to have that here, and it ended up making games a lot better, especially because we still kept the 50,000 shields. So if you just hard drew it, it still got the defensive benefit that we really need to combat the offensive power creep. Anyway, so back onto the prison bit here. What the heck is this grade 3? I don't remember what this is.
It is on attack, Cardfight 1, Imprison 2. I'm unsure. It's a common, unironically, from set 11.
Yeah, no wonder it's hard to recognize. Sheesh. Weird. It gains 5,000 power.
It was used. It was okay. It's not a bad card. Don't get me wrong. It's just a really it's a weird card. I don't personally agree with it, like, but that's just because like it's a very uncommon card.
Yeah, I mean, does he expect full fields from people? Maybe that was the idea, is to punish like the big bad Keter decks that are going around like dropping 5 to field.
So it's Aurora Battle Princess, Warning Kaigri, which is auto win chance plus some rear guard. You Cardfight 1. You choose up to 2 of your opponent's rear guards in your prison, and then if 3 or more of your opponent's cards are in your prison, it gets 5k. So it's an 18k on its own in prisons too.
I felt like if they threw a draw on that, it probably actually would have been good.
Yeah, but sometimes we can't have good cards, but like.
Yeah, right. Especially considering that one of the strengths of this deck after the new support wave is actually do have grade 3 that is a draw, which is the Clear Light, which he's running max copies on rear guard. So he really believes in the Clear Light. It's so weird to me to see like this at max copies, but not even like a whiff of Penetrate Aquas. I felt like Penetrate Aquas is still just the superior card. It ensures a prison, so you can reach your 10 because it does it from the drop zone, and then Penetrate Aqua's having the battle door could be so nifty when your opponent's just stacking up PGs for the big turn. This prison player is a lot more aggressive. He just went face about as much as he could and tried to blast him with Pure Light. So it's sort of weird that he pivoted to this resource card. Maybe he just really wanted to get the stun effect off turn after turn after turn.
I mean, yeah, I can see it. Another thing that's also really weird, having Pure Light at 4.
Yeah, because you also have your security upgrader at 4, so it's like that's a lot of Pure Lights.
So I mean, it's essentially you have 8 copies of Pure Light in your deck
and 3 Persona Lights.
But just don't damage check them personally.
Skill issue.
Yeah, and then you get the grade 2 in the middle, which is also a really. But that is actually, I can agree with this to an extent.
It's a good way to use energy when you don't like have corner citrus, you know.
It's like energy blast free. Your opponent chooses a card from hand in the main prison. If not, they imprison 2 from drop. If I recall correctly.
Yeah, so basically it's either a hand rip or you get like many from drop. So it's a great way to get to 10. And again, it's like considering energy is not that important in your deck aside from just corner draws. It kind of makes sense to me, you know.
I mean, yeah, but you're constantly fighting energy with citrus, and if you play cycle cards and that. But I see it.
Probably not a 4 of though, right?
No, not a 4 of. Definitely not a 4 of. Yeah. But hey, if it works for this, like I can see this as a very aggressive deck, like with how this is built, and for something like this, and yeah, I definitely can see it getting played more.
Overall, interesting deck list here. Definitely a lot of offline card choices, and it was able to make it into the top cut. So heck, you know, maybe that, I don't know if that says something about the ingenuity of the player or more so just the strength, the blueprint of like modern prison after the latest set. So moving on, we've got one of the youth perks. So as we see here in the top 8, 3 of these guys are going to go through. So you're going to see some repeat youth perks, and let me just say it's not exactly the most interesting deck to build, especially because the only ones that top were the pure exist builds. None of the hybrids with full blast ended up converting, which may or may not say something about what's the superior way to build Youthberg, for better or for worse. But this is the list brought by our good friend Bingo. Now, Bingo, for those who may not recall the name, was the representative for Youthberg. He was the Youthberg player in Deluxe. So seeing him back here on Top Cut after taking up the Skyfall Spirit once again, just really good showing for him overall. So well done, Bingo. So anyway, this is the ride lines featuring all the new DBTO8 Youthberg ride line cards. And then here's his main deck proper, thankfully in one image. Now, a lot of things to go over here, but they're really easy to go over. Obviously, you have maximum copies of Persona Ride, and the only Youthberg Revolt form you're playing is 4 Exist. It's all you'll ever need. On top of that, we get into the grade 2s, where the grade 2s are the real meat and potatoes, because this is why Youthberg is able to like top more consistently these days. So from DCPT 11, we got both Breaking Roar Bidestein and also a Knight of Oath End Fate. So Bidestein is a card that can Soul Blast when your Youthberg's placed during the ride phase in order to call itself from the drop zone. So it's recurring beater, a 20k beater as well as a 10k interceptor. So it's really solid. And then End Fate here is arguably even more broken. This is the new triple that came out in set 11. It looks at the top 7 for a counterblast when you place on the rear circle by any means. And you look at the top 7, you either call a card that's grade less than or equal to your Youthberg Vanguard, or Youth, I should say. It could include your grade 2, which is a really good early play. Or you can add the card to the hand if it's a Youthberg you reveal. So whether you're adding Revolt forms or Persona Ride copies or just mustering the troops, this card's really well rounded. It has a Soul Blast to get power as well, so it's just better for the aggressive blueprint. From here we get a Carino, which is just a mainstay in Youthberg. It helps grabs your Exist, and if you have to like dump Exist but you don't want to pay the CB for it, Carino also adds it back from the drop zone because it's just a cracked card. Always has been ever since DBT 13. From there you got a couple of Keter generics that really elevate this deck. You've got the Nebula Knight's Order. Nebula Knight's Order adding looking at the top 7 to call is just super good, especially when you start chain reacting with like End Fates and crap like that. Another card you can chain react with is the Cat here. So Topaz looks at the top 5, and you Soul Blast a lot in Youthberg, but not like more than you need. So you're Soul Blasting for cards like Bidestein, End Fate, and also Ride Line, the grade 1 Ride Line to be exact. So you can get the cards in drop to make the most efficient use of Topaz in most game states. And yeah, it's just, as you can see, one of the themes of this deck is that a lot of its plussing comes from superior calling, which is Pete Keter, but it's also the thing that has made Youthberg a lot better, because Youthberg's biggest problem back in set 8 was that it was a glass cannon. It was hard to establish and maintain full field, so your aggressive game plan just kind of sputtered because you couldn't actually like act on it fully. These two cards changed that completely. We also have the dog.
Ban it, get rid of it. I think another issue that Youthberg had before was like it had the olden issue of being like so heavily reliant on the Keter pile of like Tefalt Wisdom.
Oh yeah, Tefalt Wisdom was basically the deck. It was so depressing. Do you remember when Bushy Road uploaded like a fight with like their built Youthberg Exist deck, and it was just pure Exist with the Order Engine? That's all it was.
Yeah.
Like it was
and
so
that's how
plain.
Depressing it really was.
Yeah, everyone
but
felt
now,
so
like,
defeated by that.
Youthberg now swayed away from that, and like everyone's kind of like happy with it, but not really happy with it because of like, you know.
Yeah, you know, like it's definitely better because it feels like it plays more into like a strategy unto itself rather than just a part of the generic blueprint, which is nice. Not too much has changed, but it's a lot more consistent. It's a lot more active and ambient. Like it just feels like a much more fun deck to play. One other thing I want to mention about this deck here is he's playing the one of Ludawar. So Ludawar, not quite as common of a card. It came out in DCPTO 5. So this was like when Odium and stuff was coming out. Now, this card adds a Revolt form from your drop zone, or, and this is key, damage zone to your soul. And the reason why that's important is because in pure Exist, you want Ludawar as a backup in case you end up damage checking like a couple of Exists, which is a really big low roll, but it is a panic button because, again, if this is the only thing you've got and you aren't able to kill them in a turn or two, or you just haven't seen another one, you're gonna have to fetch someone for the damage zone, brother. And thankfully, between like End Fate, Nebula Order, Topaz, and all this other jazz, you're able to pretty consistently see it. So it's pretty nifty. It's also technically a way to use energy if you happen to go second half to spare energy, but you know that's rarely ever come up.
It's also a funny tech if you do decide to play Full Blast, because you know, if you damage check
in Full Blast we still always have damage check zest, right?
Yeah, so like this would be like, oh, never mind, it's now in zone.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
Yeah, it's like, whoops, guess we'll try again next game, my bad. Aside from that, just PGs and crits, maxing out crits where he can, as well as having front triggers, again, very aggressive blueprint. A couple of effect heals to punish restands, which is definitely correct, and honestly, I think that's one of the only things where I felt like my deck list personally falters, because I just defaulted to max regular heals, and I probably should have just analyzed the meta a little bit more and packed these, because people were throwing these against me in my fights, and it made things a lot harder, so it was a very legitimate call. Anyway, well done, Bingo. Pretty good, I would say, archetype, a blueprint for how to build a pure exist in this format. Now we're gonna get into the Minerva players. So this is David. Now David and I fought in the top 8, and he was really strong. He probably came the closest to beating me. It was either you or him. The only reason he lost is because of get this, guys, deck out. So, yeah, here's Minerva. Now, Minerva running the same basic ride line that it's been rocking ever since DBT08, so really old ride line here, but it's still really good. Filters out cards in the soul, it just sets you up for your big plays. From there on, you have the new grade 4 Minerva. Maybe not so new by this point, it's a couple sets old, but still, Minerva Almighty just really lives up to her name. Huge honking multi-attack swings. You can get like 6+ attacks with it, all under 10 to 15,000 to the front row, depending on what you set up. From there, you got Viviny for more restands. Angelica is your it can technically proc a multi-attack off of Chamomile by soul blasting it. This was a common play back in the day, especially because you could do it going first. Counter charges though was like probably her big deal, and also giving power to Minerva. You've got Biscotti, because there's not a lot of really great ways to use energy aside from Viviny here, so you'll want to use the Biscotti to discard and draw and just survive the early game. A couple more Chamomiles. Now David told me before, we were in discussion, right, and he knew I was gonna like showcase his list here. He took this idea from Jaime's video, Commander Jaime, and in playing it through an entire tournament, he came to me and said, in retrospect, this was probably not the right way to do this. You don't really need the main deck Chamomiles. They're more bricks than anything, especially because you can recur back the Chamomile you call off of Reverlim. So it was just needless greed. You already have so much strong multis coming in from Viviny and your Almighty that if you're trying to proc Chamomiles multiple times, you're in a really weird niche scenario for the most part. They should be dead by that point, or you should just be out of gas. So this was actually like a kind of a deck space flaw on his part, and if he had the chance, he would have cut these in order to maximize more of his consistency cards like Coco and Revelum. Speaking of, Coco is probably one of the best cards of the deck. Puts a card from hand to soul. Look at the top 2. You can add up to 2 of them to the soul, or rather up to 1 of them in the soul, and you add 1 to the hand. So it's a break even, but it's building like up to 2 soul if you include the 1 from the hand and like another 1 from the top deck. And it's a minor deck stack, so it helps get you like it helps ensure that like your initial swings are deadly, and that's important because both Minervas are restanders. From there, you got Reverlim. Reverlim has a card effect to muster the field and draw, but the main thing about it is that it puts your column to the soul in order to recur back a card. So this is just a key way of getting back the Chamomiles, like mentioned before, but also just gets you the soul necessary to fuel the Minerva turn to turn. 2 of the order here. Now this is another thing that he said that he probably would have up copies on if had the chance. The Nebula Knight order. This thing is busted. So this pie chart here, you want to know why this is mostly Keter? It's because of this Nebula Knight order here, dude. Yeah, this thing is such a dumb card. Like, Zeragon is also really propelling the Youthbrick list, particularly. Like, we've been making really good use of that dog ever since Reza had to drop it. But, God, man, is this card just the tie that binds for all the Keter decks? Top 7 for anything is so good in all these different decks. It's like all the other nations are really salivating for our consistency. He's also running Regala's piece, so again, probably one of the only ways that Minerva like can lose a game, in my personal opinion, is if it doesn't see its pieces, because it's a really aggressive combo deck, and so he maximizes his ability to set up his plays both in the soul and also mustering the correct cards to the field for combat. Draw triggers instead of front triggers because you've got plenty. Yeah, he so in talking about it, this draw trigger's got a story behind it, right? Because front triggers are definitely strong, good shield, and also good. It's good like power. And the next Minerva player we're gonna look at actually did do that. But the reason why this guy's running draws is because he theorized that by this state in standard, he made a meta call that standard just is not tenable in its ability to guard attacks. You can't do it. So because of that, you may as well try to guarantee as much as possible the ability to see the pieces to clap back, because what wins and loses is ultimately the triggers and the numbers, not really the guarding. That was his theory on this. So he said, screw the extra shield, I'm just going to go for getting my pieces no matter what so that I can play, because his fundamental idea is if both players seize their cards, Minerva should win, because Minerva is a better deck than most other decks, which is fair. I kind of get that. It's relying on Keter bull crap. You know, trigger go burr, restand go burr, consistency and peace board build burr.
I mean, the issue I only have with Minerva here is like, I feel like it's way too peaceful line for its own good. Especially in like the English side where we don't have the Nebula in order. It's kind of a fraud in the English side, but like. Oh
yeah, in English it's such bait. You shouldn't pick that up. You shouldn't pick Youthberg up either in English, because we're also really relying on the Nebula Knight order high key.
Yes, but we know the fact now that we are getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, give me my promos, Bushy. I'll shill out for it. I want to be a good Keter boy. Everyone's been whining about it, and they should be whining about it. It's an unfair generic, but you know, I'm gonna milk it for as long as I can before they inevitably have to do something about it. And if they don't,
yeah. It'll be an expensive card as well, ironically, because of how.
Oh yeah, 100%. One card I actually didn't bring up here, but I probably should have, is Dissection Angel. So Dissection Angel is the Painkiller 2.0 that came out in DPT09, or DZPT09, I should say. Not only does that have the Painkiller effect to Soul Blast and retire itself to draw after boosting, but it gets 2,000 power of the opponent's grade 3 or greater, and you can Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 1. The Soul Blast 2 actually does pop up sometimes. You have to see a trigger in order to do it, but Minerva's all about seeing the triggers. It's got 4 drive checks to do so, and your deck hitting like a crap ton, and also doing some deck stacking. Base Minerva deck stacks, Coco deck stacks, etc. So really easy to see those triggers for the counter charges, because you're CPing so much, right? Like, let's look at this here, right? You're CPing for Minerva, you're CPing for Kamau, you're CPing for Vivini, you're potentially CPing for Revelim here as well. But you do have counter charges to make up for it, which is this and this. So honestly, kind of a good balance there. What do you think about the list overall, brother? Aside from the fact that it's definitely Peace Reliance hell.
This is a solid list, I'd say. This is just a personal preference, I would argue the fronts for the draws, but then again, my experience. Again, the Shadow Meals don't need extra main deck top copies of. You're better with the Vivini.
Such a retrospective thing. He almost didn't come in with the Istid, but he was having me look at the list last week, and I'm like, hey brother, you want grade 2, you want to win the grade 2 game, you play the Istid.
The Asian is really, really good, naturally.
Oh yeah.
Because like given one of your cards like just full on resist is like you're broken.
Oh yeah, this crap goes so hard if you're playing Alden, which could potentially be a nice rogue, but you know that's besides the point here. Anyway, yeah, pretty good list overall. I liked how logical a lot of these choices are. Now, you know, we can disagree with a couple of the logics, right? Like with the draw triggers and stuff like that, because I also am a front trigger guy personally, right? Him and I've had that debate for a long time, but I can respect the idea behind the draw trigger at least. And
also in the end, it's like the result shows that this deck can work how it is.
Oh yeah, he made it.
It's a pilot that also works as well.
Shoot, it's a good thing you mentioned that, because I want to bring up before we move on here. The reason why this deck lost was because of deck out. So I want to play the scenario here to tell you just how hyper specific it was that I did not lose in top 8, right? It's his turn, right? He's got a few attacks left. Now he's got his Minerva drive checks online, so he's swinging with Almighty Minerva. He's got 7 cards left in his deck. Now I guard it. Almighty Minerva proceeds to check Overtrigger. He uses its effect to draw a card, and then he stands a rear guard. So he stands one of his units. So it's going to be even more attacks this turn. So that's 2 cards out. He's down to 5. He hits a draw trigger for his second check. He draws another card. And then he hits a blank. So now he's down to 2 cards left in his deck. I block his other attacks, and I'm basically defenseless. I cannot block his Minerva. And he's making sure to swing all of his rear guards because he knows that of the 2 cards left in his deck, one of them is a draw trigger.
One's a draw.
One is the draw. So he's attacking all the rear guards to make sure he doesn't have to take the gamble if he can help it. But I read the situation and I realize that. And so I do guard everything but the Minerva. He swings and he loses the 50-50 and checks the draw trigger and dies to deck out. Right when I'm defenseless. I'm out of heals. I can't defend it. I'm going to lose. But he ends up drive checking the one card that could like auto lose himself. It was so tragic, man.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's insane. Oh,
it just sort of shows how much Minerva can actually deck Finn as well. Like
100%.
Either that or just like it went to some really long grind game.
Yeah, well, a part of the reason why I went into little grind games because Minerva also saw almost all of its heals. He was deliberately checking heals to try and stave me off, which is kind of funny because he also ended up going first against Youthwork anyway, which is usually the ticket because if Youth goes first, it's kind of out of your hands at that point. You just have to like let fate decide, it feels like. But yeah, like, I'll be completely honest, right? That is the number one thing anyone fighting against Youth has to check and see who wins that freaking die roll. It's depressing, but it's true. And honestly, we had this meme going on, us Youthwork players, Youth Gang. We were calling ourselves Youth Gang, almost like, obnoxiously so, right? And one thing that we fully embraced is that we're kind of a gamble deck sometimes.
You are actually just a cult at this point, honestly.
Yeah, it really got it, and I know some people kind of got annoyed with this, right? But admittedly, standard's not exactly in the healthiest place, so we kind of use that as a means of sort of enjoying what we could out of it and making the best of the fact that we're playing sort of a sack deck in a sacky format. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I personally pivoted on Youth Gang, but I also really I loved what Youthwork was, so I think kind of like inspired by the potential of what it could have been, you know, we kind of like band together because we all had a love for Youthwork, not the current strategy of it, but just a love of Youthwork. So that's kind of why that happened. But anyway, that's besides the point, right?
If you wanted a Saki deck, go play Varga.
Varga, oh my god, yeah. I mean, Varga requires the opponent to like really pray that they are not blasting anime music in their headset that they're wearing. That's what Varga is. For real. So here's the other list, right? Now, this is from Arxel. Again, really well done, Arxel. Yeah. This was your opponent in the top 8. Really close game, right?
It was, and you want to guess how that ended?
It ended in deck out, didn't it?
That one also ended in deck out.
Yeah, isn't that such a funny coincidence? Both of our Minerva fighters just decked themselves out. It really embodies the Halo meme of current objective survive, right? Where we didn't. It's not like exactly that they lost, but rather we outlast them. Which for you I understand because you're playing a deck that can pivot on like more grindy tactics, right? But I'm playing Exist, big bro. I don't know how I did it. I don't know what to tell you. Youthwork's not meant to grind, bro. It wasn't built for that. Anyway, so this is the Minerva list. Now we can see some really stark differences, right? And there's a few of them. So first off, right away, we see Persona Ride Minervas here. Now, I see the argument for this. I was doing this too when Almighty first got released, right? It isn't just for the Persona Ride. It's a Genesis target. He's trying to maximize his opportunity to get the extra power up to the front row from Almighty, because for those who don't know, you need to put a card from hand to soul in order to Superior Ride Almighty, but then Almighty gives you extra power up to your front row if what you put was a Genesis card. So he's trying to maximize by being able to do that. It's one of his biggest complaints about this deck is not having that could like lose you out on some serious power. Aside from that, of course, we're running the max Cocos because Coco is just absolutely insane. Maxed on Reveillum as well. So as we can see, he definitely made some decisions that way in order to like get his consistency pieces fully online and there as much as possible. Usual suspects like Vivini, you've got Dissection Angel, you've got good old Angelica, the partner in crime. Yistid is here too, very well played there. We've got 3 of the order here, so again, Nebula Knight's order and also Regal's. So it's the same basic theory, right? You just got to see your pieces, bro. As long as you can overcome that hurdle, you're gaming.
Yep, basically that's how it worked. Especially in this game that I had with Arc in the not semi-finals, what was it, quarterfinals? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, the quarterfinals is how they call it. You could also call it top 8, whatever is easier.
Like in the first match at top 8, it was just like, yeah, he saw his pieces, cracking the Nebulite order. He was able to like empty his shield as well at the perfect time that he needed it as well. So it was like it went really, really well for him. Don't get me wrong. And that Elementaria that's also now in the deck that he put, that definitely like helped because like being on like grade 4 and he just had a free PG, I'm just like, oh, well then, like it definitely worked out for him.
Yeah, it's nifty because you know since you ride back to grade 3, this is like available for him. That Elementaria, man. You know, just when you think it doesn't need to be necessary anymore, we have a total of half of the top 8 here Has a card with the triple drive ability.
Yes. Yes, it does. You're right.
That's so weird to think about. It's very correct. He's also running an Invigorate Sage, which is nifty. Invigorate Sage is the restand punish heal trigger. So it makes sense. Again, we got so many like restanders here. As a matter of fact, like everything with the exception of Fumble. Funnily enough, Resile, which we'll get into in just a second here. Yeah, it's this one.
David not play the wait, everything. Yeah, everything here but the Resile restand. Huh?
Yeah, exactly, right? Minerva, Youth, Perk, and Prison all have restanders on rearguard, so it's like, oh, well, all right then. Really viable. Definitely not a sus tech. He's running the front triggers that we're talking about, so
yes.
he definitely pivoted more on the aggression. Running 4 front triggers too. Now that's interesting to me. I would have thought you just go for the 9 crit because of restanding Vanguard shenanigans, but maybe he just thought it was better just to like ensure the holistic beatdown.
I will say the 4 fronts definitely made an impact within the game.
Was it the shield value being there as well? That was like a big thing.
It was also the shield value as well that definitely also made an impact. But because like when I actually like went for the push, like the 20k shield fronts definitely did like a lot for him.
Okay. Yeah, because that's an interesting like idea, because I remember that kind of like supports what he was telling me earlier, right? Which was he had kind of an opposite philosophy to David, where he's like because David was like I can't really deal with the numbers here, so I'm gonna sort of ignore it and just try my best here and just go like find pieces. But with Arxel, he says no, if I do max on the front triggers, he believes the front triggers is one of the only ways to deal with the numbers here going on, so he just wanted to max that out. So it is a cool philosophy that way. And honestly, I personally agree with it. I do. Now, having said that, it is such a good debate. It's probably one of the only like deck build debates that you can have in standard for the most part, because it's a much more linear to build kind of format, despite the whole nation system, right? It's kind of unfortunate how things turned out there. But anyway, let's not riff on that too much. And yeah, I think that's about like sums up the list. This list ended up going, I guess because you were the one who fought it, that would be 6th place. The day would be 5th place. So the Minervas are right next to each other. And that's pretty good showing overall. Okay, so now after that, we go into the top 4 here. We're going to some of the big boys. We're starting with Alex's youth perk list. So this youth perk list is probably the most interesting of the 3, because he's actually running a couple of cards that are really outdated but still have their niche uses. So obviously, let's get to some of the stuff that we know out of the way first, right? It's pure exist, so you're running only exist at max Persona Right copies, because that's how we win games here. He's only running 3 Bellestein, and he's trying to make room for these techs here, and he's also only running 3 dog, which
I don't think I agree with 3 dog. It has to be 4 or none.
Yeah, it's gotta be the 4, right? Now, and okay, and in addition to that, he's not running Ludowarp, so he just firmly believes he will be able to either heal out that exist or not damage check it, because, you know, damage checking exist is a skill issue. He also believes in the 4 fronts, which is interesting. I don't know. Again, right? Like, this is just kind of a philosophy thing.
Wait,
4 front is probably the
4 fronts. There's more than 4 fronts in here.
Yeah, like he's running the 4 fronts here, and then he's also running a couple more here. So his list is running, I think, 6 front, 5 crit, right?
Yeah, it seems to be 6.
Yeah, because let's see, so 6 plus 5, 11, 12, and then yeah, there we go. Straight normal heals. Hey, I'm not the only one. So yeah, he's running 6 front, 5 crit. Another really avant-garde choice, and this is also me just kind of avoiding a couple of the pieces here that are really avant-garde. So 0 a little less so. CB1 to draw a card is always nice, and getting the 10k beater power is just it's good for offense, right? But I personally feel like you don't really need this, because Enfate's also a beater that's pretty equivalent, can even outscale him in the late game. And its CP is so much better, but he's running at 4 copies, so I'm not gonna gripe on him. What I will gripe on him for is, why the heck are we not like maxing out Bellestein? It's good shield value, and it's also a 20k beater, but it doesn't even have a condition the way the 0 has a condition. Even in simplified game states against controlled decks, God, you know, considering we lost 2, but in simplified game states, Bellestein can still shine, right? So it's a little weird. Now the big one, Enucleate
Angel.
Soul Blast won the counter charge. I guess the man really felt he had CB issues.
I mean, I mean, I don't know. It's a really, I don't agree with this personally.
Yeah, me either. It's so weird. Like, don't get me wrong, it's cool as hell to be able to throw down a nucleate and take them back for a blast to the past, a blast from the past. Probably the only thing about a nucleate that I really do dig in this deck formula is a nucleate kind of like works double duty for your Vanguard swings, because you boost Skyfall rebuild, and then afterwards when you go exist, you can give exist that little bit of extra power. So that means on a Persona Ride turn, exist is going 48. So you're able to support both of these Vanguards having to run Spill. Spill is the better booster for that, but at the same time,
no,
pretty bad.
You don't do that.
Yeah, we don't go that far, fellas. Just play the good cards. Play good cards.
Yes.
That is the counter takeaway. Overall, I think the biggest theme with this one is it's really resource conscious. It's like a very sort of it's avant-garde but conservative at the same time, right? This is like extra countercharge you don't normally see. This is extra soul that you don't normally need. And on top of that, we're also running Regardless piece. So the Fire Regardless here just for more pieces. He really wanted to see that. I'm like, shoot, at that point, if you're not going to do the twin cast, you need more pieces. Just play a fourth of the Nebulate order. It has a better search radius anyway.
I think with this is a deck that I was able to like. This was the deck I was able to 0 to 6.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Do you want to explain the dream, by the way? Because I think that might be a really
I had
fun
a
story.
dream when entering this tournament and playing this deck. So my original strat was not this. My original strat was not to damage the knight. I'll be completely honest. I don't know what like intrigued me to do it. I just sort of like snapped. I was like, wait a minute, this works. So I was like, okay, I want to at least 0 to 6 someone, because you know, it seems funny, right? It gives me flashbacks to Vanguard 0.
Right.
So I tried to do it with so many people. You get people who stack to heal, stack to maybe 2 heals. Not naming names.
Good.
And then you get this was the only player I was able to 2 to 6 to, because they were out of heals. They had OT still, yes, but I just had too much, and it was just my dream was accomplished, and
Heck
I
yeah, man.
0 to 6.
Shoot, yeah, it was beautiful.
So-
it was beautiful. You 0 to 6 somebody because of pure like give you the credit. It's insane. And another one of the thing is you're right about the OT bit, because again we're playing custom OT here. So even if you checked OT, he wasn't gonna deny you. It's only 10,000 power.
It wouldn't even shut me down.
Yeah, not at all. You'd still had game. It was a very flawless victory. I gotta commend Alex though. He definitely took some choices here. He was probably the most interesting build out of like all of us that we brought in. We had over 50 people for this tournament, and of those 50 people, 5 were youth Berk players, right? That's the quote unquote youth gang, as we've been calling ourselves, and this was definitely the most interesting of the youth gang list. And to think that it's a pure exist technically. Now having said that, I definitely argue with some of these choices here, but it is overall kind of neat, I will say. I think it's kind of neat that he decided, you know what, if I have guaranteed crits on my Vanguard anyway, I'll simply beat them down through the raw numbers of the front trigger, which is not dissimilar with Minerva's philosophy. So I guess there's a little bit of unite there. Any final thoughts on this list before we move on to top 3?
Not just get the nuclei out. That's it.
yeah. Honestly, fair.
It's
kind of cooking the prison matchup, ironically, because it's like, oh, let me add it back, and then you get to the counter charge. Like, if he did have even 1 CB, technically a nucleate was like a loopable resource for it, but thankfully you never gave him that, so it never had a chance to shine.
As soon as I saw a nucleate, I was like, yeah, nah, he's not getting damage.
Yeah, he's not getting that, dude. And thankfully he didn't really play hardball against you on that strategy, so it was fairly easy like navigating into it from the bit that I saw there. So going to the top 3 here, we got the Miracle Child deck, right? This was the most interesting deck to have topped just from like an archetype basis. This was definitely the most avant-garde build, don't get me wrong, but Reziel was not something I was expecting to make the top 8 here in a format like this. Now, this was ran by Luke's son, and again, congratulations to Luke's son. Bro's a really big Reziel fan. He has been on this deck since pretty much day 1, so he definitely made his big break with Reziel finally in DZBT 11 format. So ride line is typical ride line, the same one you see all the way from DZBT 01, nothing new there. Max copies Persona Ride. He's running a couple of Gabuilius along with a couple of the fair and balanced order, and Shroud in Darkness. So Shroud in Darkness is, or Shroud in Shadow, I think is technically what it is. But anyway, so this card is one of my more preferred Regardless pieces in Red Zion, and so it seems like he definitely picked up on why too. So its effect states that if you didn't ride from the ride deck, you don't need to pay the CB for the following effect, which is to call up to 2 cards from your drop zone whose total grade is equal to or less than your Vanguard. So the way this works is, let's say you're just on Rezile, right? Especially if you like Persona Ride and Vita, so you don't need to pay the CB anymore. You can play this card down, and you straight up just call like a Nobaris and a Painkiller, or maybe you call a Sewell and a Rifistor or whatever. So it just helps you build back board, because probably one of the biggest issues that Rezile has historically had is that while it is generally pretty good at building the board initially and also sacking board for a lot of draws, rebuilding board after that for clapback can sometimes be a little difficult. It's one of the reasons why cards like Valtrosa and Nobia have been mainstays in the deck, because of their consistent ability to be able to muster the field. And that's probably where the Rezile really got the best use out of the Nebula Knights order, because it's such a really good follow-up play to be able to get back your key cards, because this deck is also somewhat piece reliant, right? Once you have a piece, it's in circulation, so it's a very secure kind of piece reliance, but it's still reliant nonetheless. You've got Yistit, you've got max critical triggers because it's Rezile, come the frick on, Elementaria, basic PGs, and of course
more draws.
Yeah, we're running draws here. This is trippy to me. The only thing I can assume from these draw triggers, because draw triggers are something that you see in Rezile mostly with hostage variants, because they need the extra discard fodder for Liels and stuff. But in here, I can only imagine his purpose is to try and dig for pieces, because he's trying to muster field as much as he can. So theoretically, I can see where it's a really big power move where you dig your big play, right? And thinking about it more defensive oriented, because Luke won more on his defenses than his offenses. He was able to see his PGs consistently. He was able to have the correct triggers in order to guard and damage check the right triggers in order to shut down some big offenses. He ended up being Youthberg for this reason as well, because he was able to shut it down through his defenses rather than his offenses, because Youthberg was able to like clap back kind of hard. And this is also the reason why Sewell is here. Sewell just maximizes this deck's ability to defend without having to pivot on hostage order, which is gimmicky and falls to control. Overall, it's kind of nice. As a fellow youth player, I respect how thoughtful these ratios are, right? 2 Savadis is just about right. He's only running the 3 Sewell. He doesn't want to max it out, because even though Sewell does get better if you have the max, the fact of the matter is Sewell isn't that good of a card, right? It's more situational, and it just gets you the counter charge more than anything, because you're trying to go for big CB plays. And Sewell is one of the things that Sewell fueled more than anything was fueling the use of Rifistor, because he's deck thinning the deck a lot from Rifistors and superior calling it a bunch and keep proccing its skill. This isn't just for fodder. This isn't just for drive checking triggers. It's for damage checking triggers. That's the Rezile philosophy.
Yeah, I definitely I approve of this list personally.
Oh, yeah.
Fornaburst is a must. You could argue you need to play 4 of the Genmanju. I can never say the English name first.
Yeah, people don't really do that. It's usually a decision between 2 to 3.
But I mean, like, I see it. It definitely works, and we approve of it. And the results also show that the list works. Everything still works. Rezio can still top.
Yeah, he was giving a lot of the other Keto Bros hell. It ended up beating David in the it ended up being David in Swiss. So that was like one of our best Minerva players, right? And dude ended up like losing to this flat out. Now of course he saw the PGs in order to be able to survive Minerva, but still he did do it. And from there he ended up being Youthberg in the top 8 as well. So he fought some pretty hefty folk going up to this. So it wasn't like he just skirted by dodging the homies. He charged at him full on. And if you're curious about how his performance, or you want to see him fight, a few streams ago I actually ended up fighting Luke. I believe it was last week. I fought Luke, and you can see the Saturday stream where me and him do that fight. So it's going to be relative to when this video uploads. You might want to go back like to the Saturday before the current Saturday stream, and then you should be able to see it. So yeah, he put on a really good performance. Overall, good stuff.
A fight that I the prison matchup was really tough for him, because I was able to imprison his OG Rezio before he used his divine skill.
Oh,
Meaning his divine skill was shut off for like another turn.
that's kind of funny to think about, right? Like the interactions that come from prison matchup. It's one of the only control decks where you kind of actively have to look at your deck in a different way when you're fighting against it.
Yes.
So it's really interesting there. Yeah, I didn't even know you fought him in the Swiss. I assume you ended up winning that.
Yes.
Gotcha. So that's yeah, that's pretty solid. I mean, shoot, again, he ran into a lot of the heavy hitters. Luke more or less, I think, ran the gauntlet on the top cutters, a lot of them. So yeah, this dude was a really impressive run. Very well done, Luke. Does this look familiar?
Ooh, I can't tell. Maybe Messiah.
Hold on, let me get her in 4K. Ooh, that is not 4K. But
Look, I had to zoom out a fair bit for this. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful that it's one
this.
tab in this myriad of tabs.
Oh yeah, no, I was respectful for that reason. Like, I can tell you any of these cards.
Heck yeah, dude. All right, so this is my friend Shira's list here. The finalist prison list who was able to beat the odds and basically slog through the Keter madness in order to make it to the very top. Very good stuff here. So tell us a little. Now I'm running out of time, relatively speaking, so we'll keep your and my decks like relatively shorter, but tell us a bit about your list here.
So you may see that my starter is a Neon Messiah, and you see 12 of those Shadow Army tokens. Yeah, the initial plan was make people think that I'm playing Messiah, so they make me go first. Because, you know, that's that prison wants to go first, right? So what better way to do it than legally cheat? Well, not cheat, legally misinterpret your opponent.
God, you know what's crazy about that? I should have done that with Youthberg and just like flip over root.
Exactly. Oh. If you want to go first, just do that.
Dude, why did I think of that? That's genius, bro. It's kind of funny too. We're talking about this because when you sent me the list initially to do for the video, at the time we didn't know you were gonna be co-hosting. You're like, please explain this properly, and I'm like, hey, now you can explain it yourself.
The fact these are Shadow Army tokens in the G zone. I promise you, they're not. It's not a G zone.
Yeah, they're not.
Other notable mentions that we have here is we have the Dare of Violet, which is a PG. Or a Soul Blast 1 if your opponent has three or more cards in Brown. Really good card. It comes in handy if, I don't know, if you're up against a Minerva and they're re-standing mirror, just like, oh, here's a PG.
It's great hate for the Bedoustein that Youthberg inevitably will restand.
Yes, yeah. The Brantgate Cycler free discards at the end of the day. Just a draw. The Bracing Angel Ladder is there for 3 reasons. 1, it's extra soul. 1, it's 2, it's a filter. And 3, I was terrified of how many Bavs would end up showing up. And also for the mirror match.
Ooh, Bav's matchup. Yeah, Bav's matchup could be kind of brutal there. Shoot, especially because they're playing the Power of Irina crap. That's so insane.
Exactly. That's why Bracing Angel Ladder. Bulbamine. Counter charge. If I see it, I see it. We normally kill them before them.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting, right? Because it's a good counter charger, but in order to use it, you have to battle. But you were usually like staying away from battling until kill turns to attempt the 0 to 6. So it's sort of ironic that way.
Bulbamine came up on the off chance that I didn't kill them, and I was bad at a CB. The card you see next to the prison in Bulbamine is probably one of the best cards that I decided to put in, and I wish I had the
Barca's worst nightmare, dude.
Oh, I was up against Token Bamboo, the big deck that always.
Oh, dude!
And I played this order, and I looked at them, and I was like, minus 50k. So for people who don't know this, Blitz order is a grade 2 Blitz order. It's Soul Blast 1. Choose the attacking unit. And it gets minus 5,000 power for each card in your prison until end of turn. So the more you rack up that prison, the higher the decrease is.
And the end of turn is really important if in case you're throwing this on a restander that has yet to restand.
Exactly. So if that Minerva's gonna restand, nah.
Oh, sheesh, bro. Throw this on the Bedustein. 50,000, not anymore. Ooh.
Exactly. And then you've got your staples like Security Upgrader, your Citrus. Muna's perfect at 3.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to see her too much because Soul is also kind of a tight resource. Personally, so not seeing her was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
3 of the Clear Light, that again was also perfectly fine. Because, like, you know, it's a card that can go to Soul and it can draw a card that then again will also now shut off your opponent's auto abilities. And it's also a Soul Blast 1 to Imprison. Easy. Lethal Royer, staple card, need to play 4, otherwise you're playing the deck wrong. It's a free filter for CB1, check top 5, call anything if a card was put in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do this as early as turn 2, because your grade 2 will put a card from hand into prison. So this is how you sort of try and dig their prison a little bit more. So combo that into like Corner Citrus or the new purple card I forgot the name of. Take a card from drop, and you just simply pass. Damage Deny was a very important strat for me here, because I was able to build hand still because people just still left rear guards up for some odd reason. So I go, okay, swing triple drive into your rear guard, and they're like, alright, sure. I'm just like, alright, check. So I'm still able to gain the hand advantage while slowly draining my opponent of resources.
Yeah.
And then go into the one big kill turn of like if they have like 16 cards in prison. That's
right, and then you
buff.
could definitely 0 to 6 them because you've got like 10 damage on board if you have double Citrus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 damage on boards. Perfect. I did my 0 to 6, so in the end, I'm happy.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's such a it was a hell of a game plan. It's probably like it's one of those things where I think like players probably didn't even realize that prison could be played that way.
Yes.
But when played through that lens, it's a completely different ball game. Like don't get me wrong, I bet a lot of people are gonna be like, ew, 0 to 6, like, that's unfair Vanguard. And honestly, I see the point. But at the same but at the same time, there is ways to fight back against it, right? Like for instance, the finals match was also on stream. It was in the most recent GNX stream relative to the upload of this video, right? And we're gonna get into the list here, but essentially you do have ways to push prison out of damage deny, and the big way to do it is to don't commit rear guards to the front row for them to attack. My god, please don't do that. You don't want to commit front row until they're about to go pure light, because pure light lets the opponent choose, so then you just choose your front row. Like, yeah,
I think the other issue with going up against any Keter deck that has dog is they will just imprison dog from draw.
Yeah, because one of the things about prison is that prison will take cards from the drop zone, and this is being explained to the audience, right? The prison takes cards from the drop zone and puts it in the prison, right? And the opponent gets to choose them. So when you're a Youthberg player with access to Saragown, like this one right here, right? Saragown is a card that retires itself to look at the top 2, add 1, and it's also a really powerful booster. So all you gotta do is call Saragowns from the prison with the excess soul that you have in like Youthberg, or if you're just any of the other decks that can use like whatever resource you have, mostly soul in case like they don't have any damage, you know, usually by player choice. You keep using the Saragown ad infinitum. And that means you get a ton of hand, you get a ton of deck filter to make your drives more deadly, and ultimately prison just kind of has to let it go at that point. Now that doesn't mean prison dies at that point, right? It still was able to delay the game state long enough and build some decent hand, and if they don't kill Pure Light on the clapback, another round of this is almost untenable. That's just absolutely insane, especially because one of the things that Keter matchup doesn't do is control, so unless they're hard swinging on Corner Citrus, she's probably sticking around for the next turn.
Yeah, I think my game with Arc, I was able to ride Pure Light maybe like 3 to actually just 4 times.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, no wonder it ended in deck out.
The thing is, Arc was the only game that I had to pivot my playstyle. Like from damage deny. I stopped from damage deny to stall to deck out.
Yeah. That it's a good read, right? Like it took a while to get to that, but once you realize that's like, okay, this is a completely different blueprint at this point. Like you look at your hand, you look what the opponent has left, it's like, I can last this long. They're gonna burn out. They're a really high octane catter. They're going to run out of the cards in deck, and it's a legitimate strategy. I do that a lot in Standard, particularly because that's one of the issues with how Standard has approached defense in this game. Is they usually solve a lot of defensive issues by slapping on draw one card, and draw one card means less deck ultimately. So yeah, I mean overall, really strong list here. A kind of fun Messiah shenanigans, really solid cards here to help well-round like elements of the matchup, like the Racing Angel ladder, and also this card to like stop rear guard attacking, and obviously a lot of our mainstays at correct ratios like the Muna, the Lifeful, and all that. Really good list overall.
And it did me justice. Ace
Hell yeah,
was
brother.
also one of the good cards because that also found me a security upgrader that I needed that turn.
Oh, that's gotta be so huge, dude. When you like, because if you don't see Pure Light, it's such you're so dead in the water, right? Oh, so lastly, we have the deck that basically won Standard. This is the third and final Youthberg. This is my Youthberg. Now this Youthberg, despite it being like the big champion deck, whoa, there's not a lot to talk about with this one. It is arguably the most boring of the Youthberg decks. I played something so streamlined here. It's the DCPT-08 ride line, Max Persona, Max Exist, 3 of the Busted card, Twincast Protect because we have plenty of searching already, give me defense just in case. Max out on the good grade 2s, your Panic button, which is Ludawar, max out on Dog because it's great card, max out on Carino because it's Key Searcher, 2 Toll Paths for calling and also defense, your PG Brigade along with 8 crits, 3 fronts, the mandatory OT, and just normal heals, which again, I lament not putting in restand heals. That's all this list is. It just does the Youthberg game plan. The only thing I have to say about this list is that there was a really specific series of events that allowed me to get to the point of winning this one. This was a really weird tournament for me. Flat out, there was a lot of points in which my run could have just ended, right? Round 1, I'm against Tamayura. They win the coin flip. Now keep in mind, when me losing the coin flip, that's going to be a theme here. So they win the die roll, and they go first, and I have to check 4 heals to live. It's really bad because every drive check had at least 1 trigger from them, usually 2. They were hitting like a trigger on every single drive check they ever made, and also 95% of their damage checks. Basically, they ran on triggers because they checked them all. That's the dream. Round 2, I'm fighting against Rezile. They win the die roll. Rezile proceeds to heal 4 times, including OT, and hit the miracle. I have to fight through all of that. Round 3, I lose the die roll against Leonor. Leonor chooses for me to go first because they want to get Leonor's full effect off from Traumant and like blow me up on their first grade 3 turn, which would have happened if I didn't double crit them and kill them on grade 2. So that one I won because my opponent actually let me go first. That was absolutely insane. Round 4, I'm fighting against Friedrin. Friedrin hits 3 of its heals. By the way, again, this is another theme. All my opponents healed at least twice. Friedrin ends up like going into deck out, and the reason why I'm able to beat Friedrin is that the Friedrin player makes a very crucial misplay and discards PG off of PG. They weren't thinking about it. If they hadn't done that, they could have survived my final turn. And that's Friedrin of all things, by the way, so that's just absolutely insane work there. Round 5, I'm fighting against Yushira. I have to say it, I hit double heal on your kill turn. The last 2 heals of my deck in a 9-card deck, and that's the reason
you would have been dead if you didn't do it.
Oh yeah, I was dead to rights. I was basically about as dead to rights in that matchup as I was dead to rights against David in the top cut, which I already explained that one, so I won't need to like talk about that one again. Round 6.
Game. I nearly 0-6.
Yeah, you nearly had it, dude. It was about as solid as the one you did against the Token Rambu player. They ended up healing out of it too, but I mean, it was on guard. Back then I didn't even realize that the reason they were at 0 is because of you. I thought they were just guarding for some reason alone. They didn't need CP, so it was kind of funny seeing that, being like, oh my god, how the hell did it come to this? And then I learned really quickly why it came to this. So the final round was actually against Alex, who was the other Youthberg player, the top 4 Youthberg player, and he goes first. This is especially bad for me because I'm Youthberg, who's weak at going second, playing against another Youthberg who's strong at going first, and he's in the finals of Swiss with me, so he's obviously knows how to play the deck. The reason I win that So again, a series of really strange events. He double heals while at 2 damage. Seems really crazy. He heals on to 0 damage, right? I start from scratch. Thing is, all his revolve forms in the drop. He cannot physically CB to revolve dress. So despite going second, I got the first revolve dress. Can you believe that? Insane.
That's shocking.
Right? Top 8, right? Again with David. 7 cards left in deck. Hit specifically, OT draw trigger, and then on the twin on 2 deck cards left in deck, he hit the draw trigger, the 50-50. That specific orientation of triggers, it wasn't exactly like that, he would have won. He had me. That's how that top 4 went. And I mean top 8, top 4, Luke wins die roll. Again, I don't win die roll in these games somehow. So Luke wins die roll, and he's playing Rezile. But Rezile, after he does like his big push, right? He just doesn't see triggers. He's not damage checking them. He's not drive checking them, like hardly at all. He's really low rolling on his compression despite everything. And like it's the only time he ever low rolled in this tournament, to my understanding. And that really got him. I was able to push back because of that. Like the deck was just all about compressing triggers, digging out pieces, and just maximizing with a bunch of drive checks, including from rear guard. Did not see triggers. How is that? And then top 2 against you. That's the only one where it wasn't really a series of unfortunate events. We just played the game.
We just had fun.
It was a good game, man. I'm like, thank God, it redeems the Swiss. And it was also pretty skill intensive, right? Because I'm doing a lot to try and push you to at least give me a damage to work with. And ironically, when you do, I don't even use that CB that turn. I just kind of wait until I have more and then go for the big push with it. And then like the big thing that like Youthberg had to pivot on to like win that matchup was a dog, of course, crazy card, but also the fact that your combo, as long as you're holding on to exist in the hand, your entire attack combo doesn't require counterblasts. And I think that's the reason why I was able to do better than like any other Youthberg player that was like coming your way. Was I knew what to expect, so I knew to hold on to the exist in the hand and not do that. That was so pivotal, because when you do that, then it's like, okay, well, because here's the thing, I don't commit to the front row until you're at grade 3 and I'm going up to grade 3 now, right? And the reason why I'm doing this is I'm like, okay, no matter what, he's going to want to pure light. The moment he pure lights, I imprison front row. So now I'm once again in a position where I got to maximize my offense, but also force him to lose on potential triple drive just to try and keep it going. And then obviously you weren't about that life at that point. You had to play just typical plays.
I had to play Vanguard.
Yeah, you had to play Vanguard. But that was if you guys are really curious about like, you know, the fundamentals of that, go ahead and check out the G Next stream that came up before this. Like I said before, that one was a pretty good skill intensive game, relatively speaking, right? We had to think around each other a fair bit, and that's really gratifying, especially in a format like this where it really feels like sometimes check funny yellow trigger.
Sometimes check funny yellow trigger is more funnier than check funny green trigger or rainbow.
And can I just say, like I was mentioning in my entire role here, all my opponents have healed like at least twice, right? So
yes.
I
didn't heal twice.
You did in our Swiss room.
Did I?
Yeah, you healed multiple times because you were like, because I had to 0 damage, you were always online for heals, so you ended up drive checking multiples of them when you were swinging on the rears. Now admittedly you only did 2, so you were so statistically speaking you were one of the lowest heal rates. I had multiple opponents that healed 4 times.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? Yeah, and I'm going second in a deck that doesn't scale to going second at all. None of my cards care about my opponent's grade. So yeah, what gives? And I obviously don't need the extra EB, so yeah, there's just no benefit to it. It's overall, it was just a really crazy time playing this deck, really weird. But at the same time, I enjoyed it. For what it was. It's not the funnest deck to play overall because it doesn't really ask you to be doesn't ask you to like really express yourself as a player when you're playing it for the most part. Sure, you can do some quirks in the deck build, but really your entire play pattern is these 2 cards. This is your play pattern.
Quite frankly,
right,
this is a deck that you don't really need to have a big brain for, unironically.
Yeah. You don't need to. Your resource management is easy. Your cards muster other cards, so you don't need to really consider pieces too much. And you only have one attack pattern, so all you have to do is memorize the optimal way to do that attack pattern. That's all you got to do. It's a very simple deck, and I commend some of my brothers in Youth Gang who were doing Full Blast Turbo, or not Full Blast Turbo, a Full Blast Hybrid, or the Youth Brick player who decided that it would be funny to play a Nucleate, and even the Sky Knight Zero to an extent, right? So he was getting fancy with it, right? He's getting jiggy, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Me, I'm just like, F it. I'm just gonna play the most prototypical. Yeah, this with the exception of the custom OT, this is also the 1-for-1 deck list that I posted on the deck profile prior to the event, and I also let people know that, so everyone ever knew what I was doing. That's generally my thing about like these tournaments, is I'm very transparent about what I'm playing, because I just feel like, yeah, they could glean an advantage off of it, but that just makes things more interesting to me, because if they can actually fight back and like plan on how to fight back, it's good. And I firmly believe that it was the vocal minority that was Youth Gang that kind of also led a lot of people to play stand, the stand punish shield triggers, because I could already tell some people were really planning specifically for the youth matchup, and I don't know if they should or not, right? And the reason being is that this is a strong deck, but if it goes second, it has a hard time, it struggles. So
it just
yeah. Now, having said that, and now on one end you might be like, but Godsman, you just got done saying that you lost the die roll of each of your games and yet you won the tournament. That's such cap. I'm like, I said you would struggle, not that you would lose. You can definitely lose. It's a lot easier to lose when you're going second, but it's just a struggle. You have to play like so well, and honestly just get lucky as well. Like, try to outluck your opponent, right? So this is what the so this is what this deck is, right? And I'm going second, and a lot of these other decks here, you go through them and it's like, wow, they all have like kind of interesting angles to it, and they're really well rounded. Prison has strong offense and defense. This deck is honestly better at defense than offense. You have Minerva, which is really well rounded too. Like, it's very piece reliant, but Minerva has like the deck stacking and the ability to see the extra drive checks to just have a pretty good hand size. Like this draw card, this draw card. This is a total of 4 drives. It's really insane. Brother, we're a glass cannon. we are master. Like, the only pluses we get is to that field. Other than that, we're breaking even, my guy. That's it. In order to get that extra drive, we gotta discard the card. And honestly, if you're doing what I had to do in certain matchups in order to preserve CB and just revolve dress from the hand, it's a neg 1 play. You neg 1.
Yeah.
To do this play.
Dressing has always been a neg.
Yes, it has always been a neg. That's the reason why you need the CB to get from the drop zone, because it's no longer a neg. It's break even. It's really and honestly, I liked it that it was a neg, right? And that you had to do other cards to compensate for it, because for the neg you got a lot of power, which has always been the cornerstone of Youthberg for the most part. So I'm like, yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, I guess except for Tempest, but you know, Tempest was fair play. Honestly, I love Tempest.
Top 2 is a +2 at the end of the day.
Yeah, like, in technically at the neg 1 to get the +2, it's just holistic +1, but considering your digging cards, you could have holistic +2 if you consider the neg 1 for the opponent if you sniped the grade. So I'm like, exactly. Good stuff, right? Like, that was back, but that was back during an era where Youthberg was a lot more cool and interesting, because you had a toolbox between like your rainbow colored edgelords, right? But now it is the glorious, what some in the community called the Pissberg, and I have taken the piss. He just exists. And honestly, that's a great way to end that there. He took the piss because he exists.
Damn. I think that's what I love about my fight with you, is like, I made you like sort of change your play pattern.
Yeah, like, you were probably overall, I'd say you were probably my favorite game. When we had our rematch fight, for once I actually had to, it felt like for once I'm like, okay, I'm finally having to pivot on some of the more unique facets of Youthberg here. Yes. In order to try and overcome this. And I had to think about it. No one else really had me think about it. The only thing I had to do was have strong fundamentals in my play pattern and when to guard and what to guard and taking the right shambles. But against you, I'm like, no, I actually have to strategize where to call, when to call, and how to use my resources. That's effing insane, dude. So in a way, I'm kind of thankful for it.
Pivot an entire playstyle that they originally do, just because I'm giving them no damage and playing completely different, feels so great.
Yeah,
People
it's
sometimes don't know how
good.
to respond to it.
Yeah, they really don't, right? I mean, there's a lot of options down here as well that could have been played, including the Starry Sky Knight and the Regala Speeds, but again, didn't go for those. But I just thought I'd flash those briefly for anyone who made it this far in the video. Yeah, it was a good fight. So, in like you know, for the last time, right? Those of you who want to go see it, go ahead and check out that stream. But with all that said, that's going to do it for this profile. So, if you guys liked these lists and you thought it was kind of like a neat roster for the top 8, then definitely consider checking out our Discord. We have a link to it down in the description of this video. The Discord does the Oathkeeper'S Watch tournament circuit basically once a month, and we sort of swap out which tournament it's going to be based on the format. So for instance, our next one here is the Oathkeeper'S November G-Next tournament. So this is a retro format. If you like G-Next, if you're a G fan, definitely hop on in. As you can see here, we got just or maybe you can't see here because you can't, but basically we're just shy of 7 days out from it, so there's still time to come in, make a deck, and register for the thing if you want to be a part of. And of course, if you do want to check out other videos, then this is the right place for it. We do all sorts of Vanguard content here, whether it's top 10s, discussions, fight nights, custom card reviews, anime reactions, the whole shebang. We do it all. If you like what you see, consider leaving a subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and with all that said, take care. God bless.